Well, only 2 weeks ago, we were here at this very track for the final of season 13 of Night Owl, and oh boy, it was a close one in both of the silver and pro categories in the podiums. So yeah, it was a fun one, tricky one, but we have some driver here again. Welcome to season 14 of Night Owl. My name is Ted Ezra. Join with me on the comms is Jesse Lee. Also on the cameras is Jesse Lee as well, which is a different one for Night Owl. But how are you, Jesse Lee?
Hello, Ted. Hello, everybody out there at home tonight as well. Yeah, I've got a lot of buttons in front of me tonight, so if something seems a little bit off, I might be a little loud. Actually, I'm going to turn myself down just a little bit to try and match you. If something seems off, it's all my fault. It's not Ted's at all. Hello, everybody, though, and welcome back to Suzuka. Our championship season ended here weeks ago. We're back here, as is the tradition, for season 14. Ted, 23 cars. We were quite unsure how many we were going to get tonight. A lot of big events going on this evening, but 23 cars to start this season.
Yeah, it's a pretty good number, especially for season, round one of Night Owl. Sometimes people get a bit, caught up with things they are doing on the weekend. But yeah, 23 drivers and pretty even between both of the categories, which is very nice to see. And yeah, it's just good to see this many drivers on a Saturday night for the European lot and in the afternoon for the Americans and that. So it's very good to see back at Suzuka. It's pretty warm. Drivers are already moaning at me, Jesse, as per usual. It's a bit too warm tonight, but I just take it on the chin as usual.
It is quite warm, 38 degrees C on the track, 29 degrees ambient temperature here in Suzuka, Japan. It wasn't like this at all when we were here a little bit less than a month ago to finish up the championship. You want to talk about how could a track be so different between two different races in the same championship, mind you? How different could it be? Well, this is how different it could be.
Yeah, sure is. It was a totally different race last time around, but it's clear skies for the time being. I don't think there's going to be any rain. Haven't seen any on the radar, but yeah, you can see there the track 29 degrees on the ambient and 38 for the track. And these tires are cooking, but we just have to see how these drivers hang on to their tires. They've got 11 minutes left of qualifying as well. Don't forget about that. This is not free practice. This is the qualifying. No one set a lap just yet, as we see Jordan Daly coming up to the line. That was the wrong line. This is the line. Let me get my Suzuka right. 2 minute dead. 2 minute point 035. So that's a pretty quick time. Just have to see what the other drivers do as we have Mohammed come across the line of the 32 with a 2 minute 01.035. So just have to keep an eye. Obviously, track's optimum already, Jesse. The track is warm. Tires are not going to take that long to warm up. It's more this time around managing the heat of the tires and trying keeping them cool than keeping them warm, which is something that you don't really see a lot in most of the races. Normally we have pretty nice temperatures. You don't want people to struggle too much. The 1.9 patch with the tires and the handling, the physics. You can really grain the tires really easily in the heat. So we just have to see what these guys do. No, that's not a very good corner through the S's there for Burak in the 23.
Immediately right back out. Immediately right back out. That was
Yeah.
interesting. We saw Gusto set what I thought was going to be the mark to beat. It was a 59.907, immediately beaten by Burak Yilmaz, a 59.872. And I don't know if maybe that was a bailout after near contact with another car. Either way, had to reset. But that was interesting. I wanted to point that out. He immediately came back out. What does that tell you? That tells you they must feel that they have what they need in the race car. That also, too, they may have a little extra in the tank. Close at the top three cars all under 0.2 of a second. Jordan Daly P3 in that group. Flamger 0.8 off, and then obviously a melee behind them all a second or so.
Yeah, well, this driver here, Burak, in the 23, they joined for the last round of season 13, and they did show how much pace they had. And again, they were in that Lamborghini They got sixth place. I think they got a penalty um or something went wrong because they were flying. And as you can see here, Jordan Daly setting a new fastest lap with a 59.4. So um, goes almost 3 tenths behind Daly there as well. So it's very, very close at the top end. Just have to see if Flamga can get in there as well, as he sure does. 6 tenths back. Probably makes more time up. 8 minutes 20 left. We've seen Flamga many times before. You know, they've won a load of races in Night Owl. I'm pretty sure they've won a season. I don't know if it was in silver, but I can have a look in a minute. But yeah, we've got some good talent in this grid so far. Just have to keep an eye out. They've still got 8 minutes left, so still all to play for.
Neil Pimlott goes from the back of the grid up to where he'll be more familiar with, up to P8, a 201, still off the mark a little bit. You know, I thought a 59.9 was going to be just about the class of the field. Man, was I wrong. Jordan Daly setting them alight here tonight with that amazing 59.450, the big mark to beat, a quarter of a second back to Augusto and Yilmaz, 4 tenths back. Timothy Flanger, after setting their most recent lap, back into the pit lane. Seeing a lot of lap times that have been invalidated. One of those is not Mateus here in the number 88, the Brazilian driver, on a little bit of a run here and might have a tow from Jordan Daly. Actually, no, that is not Jordan Daly. That is Grimm in front of him, actually.
Oh, the Mad Panda, Grim Lilith. He likes that Mad Panda team. I heard he just brought some merch as well, Jesse. I found a store for him and sent it to him. He brought a load of merch. He really does like that theme. He is running that livery tonight. But yeah, you got to think the temperature is really warm, really hot for these tires, and they're doing these sort of times. As Matthews just go faster with a 2 minute point 487, so only a second off Jordan Daly. In a Porsche, let alone, there's quite a few straights here. Porsche isn't that great on straights. This new Porsche is pretty good, to be fair, compared to the old one. And really good through the corners as usual, as Porsche is. But maybe to make some more time up as well with Phil Roberts in the what's that? The McLaren Evo, the new one, with a 2 minute point 3. So Phil Roberts is flying as well. But yeah, like the heat, Jesse, is crazy. I've seen some um, graphs of their tires. I think I've seen some Jordan Daly's this week, and they are through the roof. They are really, really hot. They've got their brake ducts quite, far open for race. Don't know about the qualifying; might be a bit more closed. Sometimes they run different setups and that, but it's hot. I could not do these lap times.
Yeah, I think we're learning something about these race cars and the race setups and what we can do with the Pirelli P0 tires now. It's something that we definitely couldn't do pre 1.9 update. Of course, there was most recently a 1.9.4 update that had come out. And I believe Marvin Steer here is going to come up the ladder a little bit. Doesn't improve their position, improves their time, a 2 minute point 86 or 682. Not dyslexic, I promise you, but rather by the by. 8th place still for that car. But we're learning a little something about the tires. We're learning a little something here. Used to be heat was a huge enemy. You'd have a lot of fall off in time. I wonder now, because you don't usually test this a whole lot in ACC, climate is pretty set to mild most of the time. But I wonder, Ted, just a little bit, if the tires are a little bit more resilient than they used to be, and you're able to extrude these extra few tenths, or in this case, mid 59s in this extreme heat.
Yeah, I believe they can push harder. I just don't know how they're doing it, Jesse. I haven't raced in this temperature before. I remember Bart for the Friday Champ had a hot race, and once you start sliding, because they're so warm, like we know it's between 70 and 100 degrees is the operating range. Go over 100, which is very easy. I think it was, it might have been Valencia, or no, I think it was Barcelona, which is hot as it is to be in Spain. And as soon as you lose the rear a bit, or you lock the fronts because it's too warm, they overheat. You slide, you heat them up more, you start graining, you lose the grip in the tires, and it's just horrible. It's the worst thing you want on this sort of racetrack. Monza's not too bad, straight lines, a few corners here and there, just heavy braking zones, slower corners, it's not too bad. But a track like this where rear grip is basically everything coming out the hairpin, you want as much rear grip as you can to get the best exit you can. Going through spoon, that's a double left-hander, and you got to off throttle, on throttle. You can upset the rear. If it's already overheated, you're sliding more, and you're going to ruin your tires completely. Well, 130R, that's a fast corner as well, and that's flat through there if you have the right setup. But you just have to see how they go with the tires, and I got to talk to the drivers afterwards to see how this race has gone. But we've still got a while until that happens. 3 minutes left for qualifying, and some of the drivers are going faster.
Yeah, one driver, including Muhammad here, who is looking to improve upon their time. Already inside the top 10, could pick up about, a little bit of a wiggle there coming through the final turn, but still up by more than a tenth. This could promote them to 6th, maybe 5th place, depending on how good it actually is. And it is good enough for no spots. No, it actually was slower right at the end, that huge slide coming out of the final corner, and you can see Muhammad not happy with that, was 5/1000ths slower on that lap. I wondered if maybe there was an invalidation coming through the triangle. Nope, no such luck, just slower coming through. Had it 1 to 2 tenths in the bag, would have bumped them up to maybe a top 5 position. Talking about Phil Roberts, you mentioned them earlier. They're in P5, holding on very strong in that 225 right now. Let's move our focus to the silver class for just a moment. Of course, we have Lopez leading that group. We saw that lap that they were able to put together. Nobody rivaling them. Edna Pusina in 13th place. Their nearest rival in Mustang in the 18 Honda. You love to see a couple of Hondas in the field, especially here in Japan.
Yeah, it sure is, and it's just nice to see how even the categories are. Sometimes we've had drivers that are really fast on some tracks, but really slow on others. And you had some silver. We've had some silver drivers before, Jesse, where taking a podium of the overall. But it's nice to see they're all evened out. We've got 23 drivers. There's still quite a lot of drivers. Some people like Kwiatkowski and Curtin are just struggling a bit. Well, there you go. Curtin's moved up to his 13th. Lopez is still in that 10th place position. What can Kwiatkowski do? And he still sits in 15th place. Just go faster, 201.612, but doesn't improve. Stays in 15th place. Pasina's now up to 14th, second in silver with 201.252. So everyone's still improving. Only 46 seconds left. Pasina can do another lap. Anyone who crosses the line, before the timer runs out, can still do another lap if they have the fuel, if the tires can manage it. A lot of people starting in the pit lane. Flamgo Roberts, Freites, and Sumuhi are still in the pit lane. Same with some of the silver drivers as well. So there's half the grid are out, half the grid are in. So half of them are just getting ready for the race, and half of them are charging forward. Jordan Daly's back in the pit lane.
Ooh.
Burak, oh no, Grim in the triangle just goes a bit too hard with the brakes and ruins his lap. Bless him, that's gonna hurt. Burak is still going around. He's not improving on the delta as I can see, so that is a shame. Third place will be for them at this moment in time. Neil Pimlott's in the pit lane. Kevin the Boss, good old friend, old commentator and broadcaster here at RCI, in tonight's race. What can they do in the silver class? We'll see in just a few seconds as the qualifying has finished. This is their last lap. Goes from 18th to 17th with a 201.850. So, even though it's a one-place improvement, that's still 4th in silver class at this moment in time. And I think everyone's finished, Jesse Lee.
Yes, indeed, they are. Qualifying just about done here. Here are the timetables of what we saw. Jordan Daly came out swinging. Set the quickest lap halfway through that session as the quickest of all, third sector, a 59.450. Good enough for pole here for season 14, round number 1 pole. And you got Augusto in second place, the quickest second sector, a 59.7 for them. And Burak Yilmaz in third place, the quickest first sector with a 59.9. 8. Quite close there. 3 cars in the 59s, and then the rest of your top 10, all the way back to Kirtan, I'm pretty sure, inside. Actually, no, yeah, I was right. Kirtan inside the 2-minute bracket. What do you make of that quali?
Pretty mad quali. Lopez done really well with the 10th place. Piscina just showing that they are good anyway. The second place and 14th. Kwiatkowski, not. I see Kwiatkowski qualify like this many times in Night Owl recently, but they still do. Most of the time get a good finishing position, just keeping it clean and keeping it together. Daily on pole though, that was something I was not expecting today. I was expecting the two newcomers, Edda and Barak, the 27 and the 23, second and third, to take them because in
I
in
was
pre
wrong, by the
pre
way.
queue.
I was wrong. He snuck in there. That was Grim Lilith, by the way. Snuck in there, got an
Still doing a
extra
lap.
lap on it. Yeah, did a whole lap by themselves. Nobody else was doing a lap. Sold me a dummy. Wasn't doing. Nobody else was on a lap except him. I noticed he was still green, and he was the only car. So that was another lap for them, and I do not believe that advanced their position. Wow. Well, qualifying taken care of. We've already shown you the results of qualifying, and typically this is where we would show you the standings, but of course we don't have any of those this week.
No, but instead I'll go through the pre-qualifying. We have pre-qualifying for Night Owl. Most of the champs we do, unless said otherwise on the information. You can go to racerci.com and you'll find a load of our races there. And we have a few coming up. We will mention them during the race, Jesse. Some exciting news. But for the pre-queue, Barak in the 23, I believe, who's third place, was first on the pre-queue by 8 tenths over Jordan Daly. And then Edgar was in third, who is our second place in a minute in the qualifying. And they were right behind Jordan Daly, less than a tenth. So pretty close. And Timothy Flamga was it was the same as well, pretty close. And they're fourth in the pre-queue, fourth in the qualifying. This is going to be a very, very tight race, Jesse. And the pre-queue was done at this track. The pre-queue is always the same as the first round, just to keep it even and fair, so people don't have to practice do two different tracks. It's just a bit easier on the drivers, and it's easier for us to collect some data. But it's yeah, I was expecting Virac to be on top by a mile, just slamming it out the park already. But Jordan Daly saying, no, sir, I'm taking that.
Absolutely the case. Nowhere near where we would have been in a pre 1.9 qualifying world when we briefly mentioned it, but I think it really does show you the resiliency of the tires that we have now and what we're able to do. We used to work in such a finite window. It's still a small window, realistically speaking, but it might be that the temperature that the track is especially on the high end affects the tire carcass a little bit less. I do know whenever the track's quite cold, you do lack for grip quite massively. But we'll see if that continues to be an issue here in this race. Now, I do know that drivers are talking about having an absolutely slick racetrack. Quite curious if, well, maybe slick is quick now.
Well, we'll just have to find out, Jesse, because yeah, these updates, we've been having little hot fixes here and there, and it's been changing the game a little bit. I've been away from ACC for a while, um, so I'm not sure how cars really handle anymore. I did main the Porsche for a while, which is a load of fun, and I did doing the Monday champ, Jesse. The BMW Academy is called. Tim Island has put that on for us, and pretty good race. And only 2 rounds left if you want to sign up. Funny enough, we've got Suzuka on Monday, and then we have Imola the Monday after. But mid-season signups are open for that as well. And yeah, I've not really done much, but I know the GT4s feel really, really nice right now.
Yeah, they certainly do. And I've been driving GT4s. I drive GT4s a little bit more than usual simply because ACC does such a good job with their GT4 cars. and I always really like them, and I just like them more now in the 1.9 world. GT3 cars, for those of you that may have not been driving ACC recently, man, if you've not played it since the 1.9 update, you really need to get on it. It has been fantastic. A lot of cars have changed up. I do believe in the 1.9.4 update that they added the 2023 liveries for Audi, I'm pretty sure. I'm correct in saying.
They added a lot of liveries, Jesse. I could not tell you which ones they added, but I know they did add a load of new liveries to do with like the Fanatec World Challenge stuff, which I got to see in person at Brands Hatch was lovely, and to see them in game, it just looks amazing and just makes it feel more realistic. Even though yeah, it's a simulator, and you're sitting at maybe one screen or three screens with a steering wheel in front of you, depending, you got a direct driver, you just got a Logitech or whatever, but it just makes it a bit more realistic for if you've gone to see the races. So it was it's just nice to see that they still update this. They've not given up with ACC as a lot of people thought they did, and then 1.9 came out and they've just keep adding little updates, adding some liveries, doing some bop changes, and that's what we want to see from game developers like this. You just to keep the game alive, because it is thriving. As people, some people say no, ACC's dying, no one wants to race it anymore, but actually people still race this quite a lot.
Yeah, they certainly do, and it's almost like ACC has been given second or third life, depending on how you look at it. It has been such a fantastic time to be involved with the sim in general. I think the cars, as far as driving is concerned, they're a lot easier, a lot better to drive. The setups are more, I would say, realistic, and you don't have to. I would refer to it as cheating personally. You don't have to cheat nearly as much to get a setup that drives appropriately or sets a quick time. Each car is more dynamic, I suppose, in its own way. You can't one setup doesn't fit all anymore. The tires, as we can, I feel like we learn this every single week. They are different now, including today with the very hot temps, which, by the way, have persisted 38 degrees C. No difference from qualifying. The drivers, again, complaining about slippy, slidey race cars, especially into turns 1 and 2. Oh, dear. I worry what this start may look like. Speaking of the start of today's race, Ted Edwards, you're not going to get Jordan Daly. I'm not letting you pick Jordan today. But out of anyone else in this field, who's your money on? See what I've done there?
Ooh, Jesse, I'm gonna go with Burak, the number 23, Burak Yilmaz, just because that Lamborghini. I want to see the Lamborghini do well, and by the preachy time, they're quick. Hopefully, it's not just one-shot quali times, and they can actually do, good pace in the race. But that's who I'm going with.
30 seconds.
You're going to take Yilmaz. I think I'm going to take Augusto. I think they have what it takes here, and they can make a name for themselves here in Night Out Season 14. You know what both our drivers have to do today? They're going to have to take down Jordan Daly, a man who knows how to win races, a man that knows how to qualify out front and stay out front. What are you looking at, mister? Anyway, it's going to be an interesting day, I think, here in the hot sun in Japan. Well, I've had my fun with the different cameras and the camera angles as we get ready to go to the pace lap here today. 23 cars strong for tonight's race. There were 28 signed up. We suspect several of the drivers, we know at least one of the drivers, Ted, right, is away on assignment in different races. Should be back next week, but an interesting mix of cars here. Don't look past Lopez, who qualified on pole in the silver class ahead of Edna Pusina and Mustak. Behind Mustak, by the way, it could be a big old fight for P3. You got Mustak boss Ulrichs, Jones, McCrory, Tim Ireland's back there as well, Texas area, and Shelton. All those cars quite close to one another, all for P3. Big points on the line here in round 1.
I don't know if you've noticed, Jesse. Phil Roberts is in the pit lane, and that happened as soon as the wait time was up and the formation lap started. So I'm guessing they just ran out of the car, went to go for a quick wee, and didn't get back to the car in time. So the crew had to bring the car into the garage, and so they will now have to wait for the green flag. And I don't know if it's a minute or two until they can leave the pit lane. It's quite harsh, but that is the rules that is implied. So they're going to be having to wait there for quite a while, and qualifying fifth, and now you have to be from the back of the pack. That is now going to be all about strategy.
Well, Phil Roberts is not going to be happy about that, whatever has befallen them. I normally would make the argument, devil's advocate style, that they've done that deliberate, but I know Phil, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to start at the back of the field. So something amiss there. They will have to start there. They'll get to start this race. They're not out, of course. They will just have to wait for the entire field to clear turn number 1 before they're released from the pit lane. They will be released into the fray. It's Night Owl, which can only mean one thing: random pit requirements in every single race. Not in the championship, in every single race. It is a random, different pit requirement. Ted Edwards, you're the man that holds all the keys. What are the pit requirements tonight?
Well, Jesse Lee, I made it quite alright for them tonight. They got one mandatory stop. Normally for a round 1, they don't have anything, so they're quite lucky tonight. They got one mandatory stop with a 57-minute pit window, so it'll open a minute and a half in, and it'll close with a minute and a half of the race left, so they can do whatever they like. And it has a tyre change required, which will help with their horrible tyres they're going to have. So I think most of the drivers will be pitting half an hour into the race, getting new tyres, maybe half fueling to try and help lift the weight off the tyres. Maybe use the tyres a bit more in the corners because they're lighter and get quicker lap times. Take the rest of the fuel and get new tyres, but we'll just have to see what the times are for the pit stops. We can see that, luckily, and I will be keeping a close eye on that and seeing who pits first.
Pit stop required tonight. It's going to be interesting. I think if there was ever a race where a pit stop was going to be required, Ted, I think you've done them a solid here today in these temperatures. Nothing to complain about with the weather other than the heat. It's pretty warm in ambient temperature. It's even warmer on the track. Wherever you're watching tonight for Night Owl, we thank you for being a part of the broadcast. We hope you're having fun, and we hope that you enjoy it. We're about to light the candle here on Season 14, RCI's longest running series. Ted Edwards, take us away.
It's Night Owl. Not long yet. John Daly is trying to get that good start in the BMW.
They are not stacked up, look at that.
Mm.
Oh, that's Phil Roberts' spot. I've just
yeah. Phil, let's not mention that. He'll hear us all the way from down there as they come into the line. And off they go. John Daly getting quite a good start, followed by the Lamborghini, got the Merc on the left, and with the Porsche behind as well.
Contact.
Too wide, little bit of contact. Jordan Daly carries on through. Johan's was back a bit. No, Johan's comes through. Augustus feels back a bit, going more wide, more contact. It is kicking off at the back. 3 at the front have got clear. They are filtering back into single file. Some at the back are too wide still. But all in all, Jesse, not too bad. There you go. Phil Roberts is out of the pit lane, so it's not a 2-minute hold. It's as soon as the lights go green, he can go out of his pit box, which is not too bad. He hasn't lost that much time. Just needs to look after his tyres a bit, or maybe ruin them and catch up. But everyone is now back in single file. Not bad start, Jesse Lee. Could have gone a lot worse with that double right-hander of the first corner, as we see many times before. You get a little bit of a tap and you end up in the gravel, but not too bad. That was a big old sin.
Right there. Yeah, a little bit of contact there between the two Mercedes coming through the hairpin. It's going to be a run. I think the 151 is going to be able to get a run there. That's Neil Pimlott down the inside. The Audi trying to follow him through. Is that Lopez? You bet it is. trying to get their way through. Actually, no, that's the 91. I've just realized the Steer trying to make their way back up the field. Hasn't been able to do that. Has to close themselves off the spoon themselves. But that was not what Grimlow had in mind for the Mad Panda Motorsport 115. Didn't quite catch the beginning of that contact. Just know that they were side by side, and somehow Grim ended up losing out there.
Yeah, maybe cold tires, maybe too warm tires, maybe warmed up a bit too much on the formation lap. We don't actually know, but oh, and again, almost into the triangle. He almost hits the rear end of Pimplot, just seeing there. But yeah, it's just about those braking points with those warm tires as we come back through the final corner to complete the first lap of round 1, season 14, Night Owl. Timothy Flamger does take the fastest lap. Everyone else fills through. Grim Lilith takes it, but that's the big Ted Sen, but not too bad at the moment. Pacina looking for the inside, but not getting it. So who goes wide there? Curtin goes wide in the 296 Ferrari. He's back on track though, and Phil is in
look at
behind. Pacina goes wide as well. So, and again, wide right, wide left joins. Doesn't get any contact with anyone, but God, it's all kicking off, Jesse. Always does in the first few laps of Night Owl.
Well, they call it the Snake. I call it the S's because that's what it reminds me of course, and obviously Snake is the S's. It's just named that differently, and when you get that wrong, when you get the entry wrong, even for turn number 2, really, it can mess up your entire S's uphill section of the racetrack. And that's what happened. Pacina was just off kilter that entire time, and it lost them several positions there. Was looking good for them, and now all of a sudden back several spots, back into the clutches of Kevin Boss, who by the way has made their way up to P3 in that category, able to get by Mustang, dispatch them early, got Kiyakowski in between them, but right now pressing issues for Adna Pacina, who has Kevin Boss right behind them.
Yeah, sure. Kevin Boss, as we know, is a fantastic racer, and always pushes to the limit of the car, and sometimes goes a bit too far, over the limit, and not what you want. But it's doing really well in this Lamborghini. We don't really see many Lamborghinis. It's got 2 of them in this race so far this season. Maybe we'll have more. Who knows? Still 5 more people to join us through the season, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that. But nice to see Lamborghini back in the fight. New car, new Evo, and yeah, I've heard a lot of good things from this car. A little bit tricky with the setups, but once you get the hang of it, it's all right. But there is a thing you see the bottom left, a thing called Ghost Setups, Jesse, where you can get some lovely, fantastic setups. You can get some safe, you can get some esports ready setups, as they call them over there. But if you need some setups, head over to Ghost Setups. You can find the link in the description, and they got some wet setups, dry setups. I've used them quite a few times, and they work really well if you're not sure on how to set your car up and just want a quick setup going. You can get a few of them. There is a subscription plan that you can pick. You can buy a few, or you can buy the subscription, and you can download so many a month. You have access to all the setups, so head on over there. Link is in the description.
You certainly can. A lot of interesting things happening right here in the middle part of the pack. I happen to know why Kevin Boss is in a Lamborghini for this series. He's actually testing and preparing for a bigger race in RCI's future, and sort of pre-planned. I've actually been in the Lamborghini myself doing testing for the very same reason. Doing pretty well here. Has got Kierton in between him and Pacina, now no longer on the back of Adna for second place in that class. I went and looked at Tim Ireland all the way at the back of the pack. There is contact. He had contact with the 623 that is shooting, and I don't know if Ireland's that far off the back because of that contact, or if it's because of the contact with the number 13 car in the race. Actually, I don't know where the 13 car is. My eyes are failing me, but either way, Tim Ireland well off of the back. Phil Roberts, by the way, who you be recalled, started from the pit lane. Well, they've already made up several spots. They're inside the top 20 now.
Yeah, and that's what Phil needs. A little bit of a confidence boost. Missing out on the start of a race isn't great. Like, as we saw, not too far back from the other drivers from the back of the pack, but you know, you qualified fifth, you want to start fifth. Especially Oliver Curtin coming in for the pit stop already, Jesse.
Mm,
I'm a little bit confused why you would do that when it's a tire change.
I don't know. He
Uh,
got passed by Kevin Boss right there. I don't know if Boss snuck up on him or not, but either way, Kierton into the pit lane, and this looks like it was scheduled. The way that Olivier drove sort of to the inside on purpose, not what you would do through the triangle necessarily. You probably usually try to defend Kevin Boss's attack. Kierton didn't really do that, so this, to me, at least seems like they wanted to come in this time.
Yeah, a bit of a weird strategy, but there is our first pit stop from Oliver Kern. Something I wouldn't advise other people to do if temperatures are this hot and you can do a tire change. But you know, we just have to keep an eye on Curtin to see if it works. I have big doubts on that one. It's Brent Jones in the Ferrari trying to hold off Phil Roberts. Doesn't
Who
need to
is in
hold off Phil Roberts.
18th, by the way.
I know he is flying through the field, but Brent Jones doesn't need to fight Phil Roberts. You know, it is points in class, not in overall. So just let Phil Roberts go and not fight and lose time. You know, Brent Jones needs to catch up with Alexander Orlix, but fighting like this is not going to help their race, and it's just going to annoy Phil Roberts even more. And just have to keep an eye on Phil, see if he can catch up with Kwiatkowski. So yeah, Phil's doing an excellent job, and it's nice to see the new McLaren out and about with the extra few fins, the little bit of difference on the front grille, the different rear wing is very nice to see. But yeah, still 51 minutes of the race left to go, Jesse. It was a long one round Suzuka, 2-minute lap times.
Yeah, Olivier Kierton, by the way, just to add on that pit stop, that must have been either contact that led them to want to come down the pit road early. Maybe they were in traffic, they didn't like where they were. But whatever it was, that was a valid pit stop, meaning they did change their tires. They fulfilled the requirement of the mandatory stop, which now means they're the only car out there that has done the mandatory stop, and they'll have 50, as of the time they came out, 52 minutes as one car off in front. It's the 212 who's been off the racetrack rejoining. That's George Kwiatkowski. Kwiatkowski getting back onto the racetrack and very nearly making contact. I don't know if there was contact that led to them going off the track. I don't think it was. I believe they just drove off. Mentioned that earlier about messing up one of the corners, and you're just off kilter the entire S's section. Wonder if that's what's happened to George Kwiatkowski, but the team BDG 212 Ferrari back on the racetrack, but lost 3 or 4 spots. And by the way, I'm going to say it again, Phil Roberts up another spot.
Yeah, Phil's just taking his time, keeping it clean. You know, that's what you want to do, especially in this heat. Kwiatkowski maybe he pushed a bit too hard, but I have noticed that they haven't been that great since the 1.9 update came out. Maybe they're not used to, you know, trying to make their own setups, or they just don't have setups. As I said before, Go Setups is a place to go, but they've struggled a lot, and they used to be a lot faster than me, and now I can keep up with them, or sometimes just pull away from them when I'm in front. But Phil Roberts trying to go for a move again into 130R. That's a bit of a scary move, Phil. Calm down, it's only Brent Jones, you can get past pretty easily. He goes for the stand into the triangle and makes it. Brent Jones giving him a big old wide berth, and that's very sensible to do so. And that gives room for Kwiatkowski to try and come back on Brent Jones. Ferrari on Ferrari, but yeah, maybe, you know, if you're the same as Kwiatkowski struggling with this update, I think there's a place that you can get some help, Jesse. You're driving.
Yeah, there sure is. Driver61.com is your destination. If you want to get better at sim racing or just need some tips to help you get faster or more consistent, Driver61 is the place to go. They offer one-on-one driver coaching and racing schools, full-on racing schools for you over at Driver61. And just for being a viewer here at RCI, we can get you 25% off one-on-one driver coaching a session over at driver61.com just by using our discount code in the description of the video. A lot of the admin team here at RCI have used Driver61, and well, I can personally verify the results, and that was a result there, a pass, but a scary moment as Mustang drives off of the racetrack, allowing Alexander Ulrichs from the Mad Panda Motorsport car through. It's going to be contact with Phil Roberts.
Oh, failed. Went to go for the room because there was a bit of a gap there. Messed with the braking. Oh, and another one. How? Calm down. 48 minutes left to go, Jesse.
Were you calming you down or the drivers down? I'm unclear.
Down and the drivers. A bit confused how the 919 crashed into someone who was parked. Pretty sure yellow flags would have been out. Car backwards on track, but yeah, Phil just, I guess, got the braking all wrong and slid up and hit the rear end of that Mad Panda car, one of the Mad Panda cars we have today in this race. But yeah, that's gonna hurt. As just like to remind you all, we do not have live stewards for this season, unfortunately. But there's another one. Is that contact with Bren Jones and Kevin Boss?
No, that was Matthew
Malcolm.
That was Malcolm and Boss who made contact coming into the triangle. Ooh. Just caught the end of that. I don't know if Boss was definitely up went around the outside, I think, there at that particular part of the corner, and it all went just a little bit wrong. But back to what you were saying, no live stewarding. We were originally scheduled to have live stewarding for this championship, but it was determined to do the post-race reports for season 14. Give the stewards a little bit of a rest. If you've been following RCI competition, we've done that with all of the weekly series except Night Owl. Night Owl had not really taken a week or a series off, so they will take their summer vacation. Some of those stewards in this race today, including Phil Roberts and, dare I say, Tim Ireland. I'm not entirely sure if Tim does Saturday stewarding, but nonetheless a steward regardless. And in the race, it's always nice to be able to give them a break, a little appreciation of, hey, go out there and race whenever you can, I think is what we always say. So post-race reports for stewarding, dare I say there's going to be a few from the first 15 minutes of this season.
Yeah, sure will be. And, well, here we see Jesse, stewarding team on the broadcasting team. Oh, you clicked our way. Phil Roberts and Kevin Boss fighting, not for points, but I was getting into that, Jesse.
I hadn't realized that until you had just said that. I was like, oh my goodness, that is stewarding versus broadcast.
But yeah, back to the front. Yilmaz still with the fastest lap, the 2-minute .115, chasing down John Daly. Augusto is almost a second back, 6 tenths back. 7 tenths back, I do say sorry. Yilmaz dropped back to 6 tenths, was a bit closer than that just before the triangle. Flamger still in 4th place, Matthias in 5th, Mohammed in 6th, Pimlott in 7th, and Lilith in 8th for the pro field. That's your top 8 for those guys. And Lopez and Piscina, 9th and 10th. Piscina's moved up a few places as well, as we see stewarding versus broadcasting team at it again.
Do you know what I find interesting about this? Phil Roberts, known as a head steward, has done broadcasts before. Kevin Boss, known as a broadcaster, has done stewarding before.
That is
so
true.
They both know how the other half lives, and they both race each other in this occasion. Quite interesting, I think, from us, Phil and I, talking about the race earlier on. I felt like he was pretty all right with it. Probably didn't want to start from the pit lane. A little bit of a mistake there. Probably didn't expect him to be fighting Kevin Boss at some point in this race, but that's what you got. Kevin Boss, by the way, standing their ground. There is no blue flags for cars of a different class. You have to race them, and you have to get by them. Boss, of course, is trying to maintain pace to keep up with Edna Pusina, who has slightly caught Lopez at the front of the field. Phil Roberts for Kaiju Racing trying their very best to get by them without any further incident. Has already had a couple of little spills so far tonight. But then again, we just saw Kevin Boss do the same thing. I'd say they're just about even, but eventually you would have to imagine Phil Roberts is going to win out here.
Yeah, I would say so. I think Kevin at some point will just go maybe here. Oh, I thought he was pulling to the side. Oh, I think he is letting Phil go in front. I just call these things, Jesse, I just think they do it. That's what I was going to say. Kevin's going to let Phil through. Would just be the smarter play, so Jones doesn't catch up too much and get into the slipstream of both those cars. And you know, Kevin Boss just wants to keep his third place. Maybe use Phil as slipstream to catch up to Cena. Um, that's about 4 to 5 seconds away, but slipstream's really handy and it helps you on your fuel if you're struggling with fuel, and can help you maybe on the tires. I'm not too sure, but that's one thing I haven't tested. But it's a very good move from Kevin Boss just to let Phil go through. There's no points involved in those two fighting there. They're just going to lose time to the cars around them, as we see Kwiatkowski coming to pit lane. Andy Corey coming into the pit lane as well, which we did see if Eagle Eye viewers saw turn 1, 919 did have a spin there last lap. Not sure why. Don't think other cars were involved. That was the only car that was yellow flagged when I saw it myself. But both coming in for pit stop. The 919, I would say, is because they've just chewed their tires within almost 18 minutes, Jesse, which is not a good sign.
Oh, contact there!
Oh.
Yilmaz taking the wide exit out of Spoon there, caught Jordan Daly unawares and almost jacked him up, but they're going to be side by side. He's going to fall back in line. Daly with the horsepower in the BMW, and it's so weird to see Jordan Daly in a BMW, just so we're clear.
It is.
Out there. The color is very familiar, the just gamers colors, but beyond that, just so weird to see that man drive anything with a BMW badge when he's not forced to. Not that he's against it, it's just Mercedes typically, I think, is what we associate with Daly in the modern context, but doing a good job. Very nearly came to tears between the top two, and they just about saved it. Daly, I don't know if maybe it was a sort of a more defensive line down the inside or something like that. Didn't take full advantage of the corner. Yilmaz did extend the corner to its limit, and I just a weird place to make contact, all things considered. A couple of cars, as we saw, have come in to the pit lane. Olivier Kierton, who came in after the conclusion of lap number 1, or at the conclusion of lap number 1. Leader on the road of those that have pitted, Kwiatkowski, McCory, Ulrichs, Mustang, and Tim Ireland have all done their pit stops, and that was one of the Mad Panda cars that spun completely off in the Dunlop turn. A little bit of contact between the top two as it's all kicking off. I think that was the 187 that made the huge spin off into the corner. Scary moments here.
Yeah, Alexander Orlix, I was about to say, I think Daly just wants to get past him, but they sort of made it a bit easier for Daly by going into the gravel. Not the best thing to do, but maybe just lost the rear end with the heat. And then, I think that maybe put Daly off a little bit. Maybe Yilmaz didn't really see it. They got a bit caught up, a little bit more contact going into the Degners, both a bit wide. That brings in Augusto again. I believe that is Augusto behind for the slipstream. It is. So top 3 sort of still together after 20 minutes.
Yeah, they sure are. Just to catch you up on a few things, Matthew Malcolm has been in our chat here on YouTube. We're very thankful to have him. Was in this race and had a weird issue where they went on the pit limiter. They were attempting to do their mandatory pit stop themselves, and it basically froze their game. It broke their game.
Oh.
That's very odd. I've never heard of that. I've heard of a lot of different things that happen in the Unreal Engine. Yeah. That is not one of them. That is very odd that would happen, but that has ended Matthew Malcolm's night, but we appreciate your reporting, Malcolm, and we hope to see you back for round number 2. So we started with 23 cars. We are down to 22. Tom Bryant, who's watching tonight, probably watching a little bit of the stewarding and the broadcast team, probably enjoying this as much as you and I are, partner in the booth, has also pointed out something, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. We talked about steward and broadcasting teams being in the race tonight. We didn't talk about Grim. We didn't talk about Grim. Grim's up there in 8th place, also a steward in his own right. Steward, race controller, does all the things and does them very well, up in 8th place. So my apologies to Grim if you watch this back on repeat and you're wondering why in the heck didn't they mention me in that conversation. We do very much apologize. I have so many buttons in front of me and they're all flashing at me. I do
Yeah,
apologize.
how are you doing with them buttons tonight, Jesse?
I mean, they're fine.
And on the mic, you handling it well?
I will say, had I not had practice doing this, I would be bricking myself right now. But because I have had practice, I'm actually okay with it so far. It was a lot. It's a lot easier to have you do the lead comms part. And you're doing a great job, by the way. And you say all the things, do all the things you need to do, and I can focus on pushing the buttons at the beginning of the race. I would say it's calmed down, but that'd be a bold-faced lie. It hasn't calmed down. It's spread out a little bit, and I'm able to more control the chaos. One further thing from Tom Bryant, just to add a correction. I said it was the 187. It was the 587 that spun in the Dunlop curve, and their cars are driving completely off the racetrack. We're too wide, too deep. Oh, and it's going to go wrong. It's going to go absolutely wrong here. One car slamming into the wall as hard as you please. Was that Grim? I believe it must have been.
That was no Mohammed went into. Oh, where's Grim going? Where's that other car going? I don't know who's going. People are going everywhere. I think that was Mohammed who hit the wall, got taken out by I think Matthias. Maybe I need to have a look back on the footage, but look at that front end. That is damage that you do not want to repair. Oh, but you're gonna have to. It's something that you didn't expect to happen in the race. Let me have a quick look through at what actually happened there. It was Matthias in the blue Porsche, the 88 that hit the rear end and span out Mohammed there. But very unfortunate. It's 130i. It's not something you want to go too wide into. The other two cars behind, Pimlot and God, Pimlot and someone else. They both backed out. Pimlot went in front and the other car went behind. Oh, that was Andy McCory. So that was a back marker in with the four cars there.
Folks,
so it's.
For those of you wondering at home why we're so confused, there's two Mad Panda cars, all right? There's two Mercedes. We've got Jordan Daly leading this race in something that's not a Mercedes. We've got multiple Lamborghinis, two cars that look identical to each other but are running on two different parts of the racetrack. And also, some of the colors are different. Obviously, you can make your custom liveries here in RCI these days. You have been for the better part of a year now. And some of the colors on the different drivers are unusual. They're different to what we're used to seeing them in. It is round one of season 14. That's the broadcaster excuses out of the way, but we do apologize for our confusion. But at some rate, you got to cut us some slack. It all does kick off quite quickly. This battle for the lead has continued, and for the last couple of laps, these two have made contact that has shown up on the incident report. They made contact on lap 9 and 10. They just about made contact on lap 12 or 11. We have started now, lap 12. I feel like Burak Yilmaz is a little bit quicker than Jordan Daly, but Daly is finding a way to keep that 23 Lamborghini right behind him.
Yeah, I have been hearing Jordan Daly's been like the BMW, and I'm quite excited to drive it on Monday. Again, Monday champ.
You're driving. Oh, that's right. Of course you are.
Yeah. We did the M2, the TCX, and then we went on to the GT4, and now we're on to the GT3 BMW, the M4, not the M6. Unfortunately, not the M6. Very good car though, but onto the M4. So I'm looking forward to driving that on Monday. Remember RCI.com, racerci.com. Oh, I got that wrong, Jesse. You can find all the championships there, and just to give it a little bit of a shout, we've got some exciting news. While we only have 34 minutes left of the race, we see on the rear wing of Jordan Daly, see Yilmaz chasing him in that green Lamborghini. We have RCI 24 hours of Spa, a one-off race we got going on July the 29th is when the race is. Sign-ups are open. There is no pre-queue. There is a few splits, but we will do split 1 field and then split on to split 2 as per usual. But yeah, apparently, sorry, there is a pre-queue. Oh, where is everyone going?
Burak Yilmaz overran the triangle, the entry to it. Daly went defensive, and Yilmaz, I don't know if maybe they were just trying to outbrake, try to go around the outside and make sure that Daly couldn't apex the second part of the chicane. That is not what happened. Yilmaz overshot the corner and took a huge shortcut, but obviously doesn't gain anything, falls back in line right behind Daly.
Yeah, 24 hours of Spa. There is a pre-queue. It is a hot stint, so you have to do 5 or more consecutive laps in the car that your team wants to drive. So all drivers have to drive the same car, have to set laps in the same car, and sign-ups are open for that. There will be a server up at some point. I will get told in a minute by Tom Bryan. Also, I think we got another thing to announce. He did shout at me a minute ago. World Tour announcement today. Full calendar will be announced shortly. So that is another thing, Jesse. Exciting things here at RCI happening. Also, a Wednesday team champ. What is this? We had nothing for a while. It was a little bit quiet. We only had the Monday Academy. And that was really it. Night hours come back. Next minute, everything comes back. Night hour starts and everything gets chucked at us.
Yeah, and also, too, some of you will be wondering, where in the heck is Friday Champ? Why hasn't there been a Friday Champ? I promise you, there is a Friday Champ planned. It will be coming at you sometime soon. Trademark TM, soon TM. I'm unsure exactly when that's going to come about, but I will confirm at least the existence of a Summer Friday Champ. With that said, Bart Mach is going to yell at me for confirming something that he's probably still working on, but I know that there will be one at some point for the lovers of the Friday Champ Series.
Jesse, you know the driver you picked to win this race?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see that?
Yeah, I'm
Tom
fully
Bryan
aware.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What has Tom Bryan said about your driver?
I'm unsure. I can't see it, but I'm quite curious what led to the disqualification in the pit lane. Do you know?
Speeding in the pits.
That must have been excessive then, because ACC went for a period where it would disqualify you, but now it's a little bit more lax. But you would have to be speeding on an atomic scale to get disqualified these days.
I wonder if they have their pit limiter button manually set, because you can do that in ACC, which is a nice thing. There is a setting that we can do where you have to do it that way, which we don't, because that can get a little bit annoying, especially if you don't have all the buttons on your wheel. Some of the old Logitech wheels, the G27 I believe, doesn't have a lot of buttons, so it's just easier for you to worry less about another thing. But some people do set them up manually, and if you forget to press it, or I think it's if you're not in first gear, if you shift up to second, it disengages it. You will shoot off and you will speed. You can speed a little bit and you can get a drive through. You can speed quite a bit and you can get a stop and go. As we just saying, you speed quite a lot and you get a DQ. So that is very unfortunate for your driver, Jesse. Just rubbing salt in the wound, but yeah, it's very unfortunate, especially with half an hour left for the race to go.
Well, I can tell you the best remedy for not having enough buttons on your steering wheel is just to get an entire Fanatec setup, have all the buttons you could ever want, all the buttons on the wheel, including the pit limiter button. And of course, when you use our affiliate link for fanatec.com, we definitely appreciate that. It tells us that you're interacting with that, and it certainly could help us with things like server costs. Of course, Fanatec, a leader in direct drive hardware. Of course, they have all sorts of direct drive bases and wheels now. And I just heard about, I think it was this week, that they had a sale on one of their bundles. I'm unsure. I'm not going to say which one it is because I'm unsure. But it was a sale on some bundle. You get the direct drive. I think it's the 5 Newton meter direct drive base, a wheel, and the standard pedals. pretty good bargain, to be fair.
Really,
Fanatec.com.
really good bike. It's called the Ready to Race bundle. They have two of them. You can have the cheapest option, which is 400 euros. That is pretty good, seeing
That
as
is ridiculous value.
the direct drive thing itself is like almost that price. So you're getting wheels and pedals. No load cell, but you still get two pedals, which is good enough for anyone who's getting into the direct drive scene, going from your Logitechs, going from your Thrustmasters. Get onto the Fanatec stuff. I've tried some of it. Oh, it's lovely. Feels good in your hands. They have another one as well, which is a few. I think it's about 30 euros more. Has a different wheel on it if you prefer a different wheel. I think it's the BMW wheel. But yeah, such a good price. That took a
I
lot
thought
of
it was
people by surprise.
again. This is going to sound like a hashtag ad, but I kid you not. I thought it was an error. I thought no, there's
Yes,
no way. But
this is a hoax. This is a hoax. I don't believe it, but no, it's
ooh,
yeah,
Yilmaz here
really good
trying
deal.
to get by. Burak Yilmaz losing a lot of time in the pit lane over some of the others. Jordan Daly, almost everybody completed their stop. Daly P2.
Oh my
The only
God,
person in
yeah.
front of him is Kevin Boss. Tixera out in third place, also still yet to complete their pit stop. Flanger, Pimlott, Lilith, Freitas, all in front of Burak Yilmaz, who had a very slow start.
Yeah, Daly had a 1 minute 09.4, whereas Yilmaz had a 1 minute 21.5. That is quick math, 12 seconds. 12 seconds difference, Jesse. For what? Damage? Maybe the little contacts have been having. Daly just said to the pit crew, no, don't fix it. Car feels fine. They're, they're not shouting at me to repair it, so I'm not going to repair it. And car feels perfectly fine. Maybe Yilmaz forgot to tell on the radio, don't fix it, don't fix the damage. Next minute, start fixing the damage. Just sitting there, what are you doing? But yeah, that's you could just go to show, a little mistake or anything, getting in the box wrong, really ruins your race. As we see Kevin Boss coming into the pit lane on the right hand side there, followed by the number 13 as well. So that'd be everyone done their pit stops with 24 minutes of the pit window to go, 26 minutes of the race to go. Jordan Daly, 16-second lead.
Yeah, Jordan Daly will be sitting here going, thank you very much, Yilmaz, for the long stop. Of course, Daly won't have the foggiest clue exactly why he has a big lead. Probably just assumes it was a mistake on pit lane. Certainly interesting to see. The only other cars, to put this all in perspective for all of you at home, the only other cars that had a slower stop than Burak were cars that had damage, and considerable damage at that. Nobody else really had that slow of a stop. They were closer to Jordan Daly's time. There's going to be more contact here coming through the Degners, trying to go around the outside, and it's come undone. Freitas has not yielded, nor should he, and it has led to more contact and a further setback for Yilmaz, who I believe was your pick, Ted.
Don't. At least one's still in the race, Jesse, but just noticed Phil Roberts, 7th place, just quickly on. Just, yeah. Phil is storming through this these cars here. Pro cars at that as well, gaining more points. Starting from the pit lane, shall I remind you people that weren't here earlier on at the beginning of this race, 35 minutes ago, sort of ran away, I think, from his car to go for a quick wee. I guess his crew didn't tell him that, the race starts in a few seconds. Had to start from the pit lane, but he's doing very, very well for himself. Got a bit of catching up to do with the top 6, about 10 to 11 seconds away. Grim Lilith going for a dive on Neil Pimlott, who's in 3rd place. Grim Lilith up to 3rd in the pro class and overall. See in the background, that was Yilmaz getting past Matthias there in the double 8. And a nice blue Porsche in the background there, so making another spot up back into 5th, and with the Speed Juice fastest lap still.
Certainly is the case, and something else that happened as well. Pro class wasn't the only one that got shook up on that pit cycle. Adna Pusina has taken the lead in the silver class over Lopez. It's a tentative lead, to be completely frank with you, but it is still a lead. The 9:03 leading the 10 for the first time in this race. Kevin Boss will hold on to P3 in that class. Ulrich Schuten, Teksha, and the rest of the silver class further back in the field right now. But Bill Roberts qualified. What did he technically qualify? Was it 6th or 8th? I don't recall. We were somewhere on that line. Was it 5th? Okay.
It was
so
5th place.
It was the other side then. That's right, because we were looking at it the wrong way round. So it does make sense. Qualified 5th, almost back to where they started, but just an impressive run from 23rd place, folks, in about, what, less than 40 minutes from 23rd almost back into where they qualified to begin with, P7, and they can continue this run. They might be able to get back to a top 5 finish. We'll keep an eye on that. 10 seconds to the fight for top 5. They're all fighting for P3 for the moment. This is the state of it. Grim Lilith for the Mad Panda 115 holds on to P3 in that Mercedes, but there are a bunch of hungry race car drivers behind them. Burak Yilmaz has been able to get by Freitas. They've been able to get by Pimlott. Will they be able to get by Grim Lilith and retake at least P3? Timothy Flamger, again, strong run today, has had a quiet day in the number 19 Porsche, finds himself in P2. He's the biggest Grim Lilith fan right about now. Keep Burak behind you.
Yeah, Timmy Flamger came second in last season at the end of the final round, and second today here at Suzuka. Again, finished second last race. Hopefully they can keep it going. Got a 5-second gap to the guys that are all fighting for third place. Many of them, the forecast there. So Flamger just needs to keep that Porsche going. Grim needs to, I don't know, get a bit quicker or do a bit of a defending. That was a bit close. Curtin almost lost the rear end of that Porsche there, but luckily Lopez just got on the brakes just in time. But that is not a battle for points position. That is just a battle for top 10 overall, and of course Lopez wants that top 10 just to gloat a little bit. But yes, there's 2 fights going on, Jesse. One in silver, and then this lovely one in pro. We've lost a car. We've lost the 888 of Matthews. I think they are 8 seconds down on their delta, Jesse. They've made maybe a mistake. I am very interested, so I'm going to use my special thing called looking back in at the past and seeing what happened, because I'm very interested in that one.
While you check that out, we're still watching the battle for P3 in the pro class. Grim Lilith has it. Yilmaz would like to take that spot away. They've been able to separate the gap. It was just a couple laps ago, Pimlott and Freitas were all together in one line. They have sort of fractured just a little bit. A little bit of a run here from Yilmaz, trying to go the long way around the triangle. And here comes Grim. He's going to go a little bit too deep. Was that a death sentence? No, it wasn't. Able to defend down the inside of both sides of the triangle. He's going to defend here. He's going to go wide. And Yilmaz is going to have the whole shot run down the front straight. And it's going to be, no, it's not going to be enough. The grunt from the Mercedes able to get them back out in front. Taking the long way around the corner has absolutely worked for Grim. Now trying the long way through turns 1 and 2 is Yilmaz again in that Lamborghini. He's going to be the odd man out, and he's got to get back in line because Neil Pimlott has re-arrived to the party. What was more than a second gap has now evaporated in just a few turns. That's how quickly it can turn. 3-car battle for P3 again.
Grim Lilith just needs to got 20 minutes of trying to hold back Yilmaz. Don't think it's going to happen. He's if he does it, congrats to him. It's going to be difficult. We have lost another driver. They have pulled the garage order. That is the 88. Found out what happened. Going through Dunlop, went wide onto the gravel and just lost all the time. And then they just had a spin in turn 1 and decided that was their day done, unfortunately. So maybe he's just struggling with the tyres.
Could be struggling with the tires just a little bit. we'll keep an eye on that. And, well, this battle still continuing here. Inigo Lopez able to advance their position just for a moment here, continuing their fierce battle that they're having with the 111. You know, Kieran and Lopez, they'd probably obviously rather be fighting people in their own class, but beyond that, you're still fighting for overall position. You're fighting for a spot in the top 10. These positions, it still matters in your head. It matters for bragging rights. But I think the moment one for Inigo Lopez in the number 10 Ferrari. Can they catch Brusina, though? We'll keep an eye on that fight. Speaking of keeping an eye on a fight, this is still going on. It's spread out. It's a lot calmer here on this lap number 20, than it was a lap ago. Everyone gathering their thoughts. 18 minutes. I'm going to ask you, Ted, it's a long time for Grimm to be defending. We've seen time and time again Grimm can defend and has done already in this race, but 18 minutes is a long old way. Is it possible?
Well, I think he can do it. He's just got to try not burn his tires up too much. Because, you know, defending, you're going to take different lines than what you would. You want to go defensive and stuff like that. It's going to be difficult. He can do it if he really tries and really focuses just on what he's doing. You know, cars in front, like coming up to the cars. I think that's Tim Island in front. I think it is. Yeah. He just needs to place his car in the right places. He's got the grunt of that V8 motor. You know, to get away from the Lamborghini. The Lamborghini's good in the corners though, compared to the Mercedes. Oh! I think that was contact with Island. Oh no,
it's
been hit in the rear
contact.
end. Yeah.
It's a double tap. They always teach you to double tap in zombie apocalypse games. This is not one of those, as Grimm gets knocked around twice. Yilmaz didn't mean to do either of those, obviously, and backs off of the throttle for the time being. Is there a threat into Spoon? No, there isn't. I think the big winner in all that, of course, is Pimlott, who is continuing to be in this battle. And all credit to Neil. Didn't really force the issue. Saw that there was an accident in the making going on. Could have probably made that worse, in my opinion. Neil didn't do that. And still a part of this fight. Still a three-way fight for the final step of the podium. But just because Neil seems the odd man out in this fight right now, that doesn't mean anything. These two get going. Maybe they do have a full-on accident. Neil Pimlott's going to be your third-place finisher today.
Yeah, sure can be, Jesse. If you're a long-time viewer of our RCI streams, you would have seen Pimlott quite a few times on the Night Owl races, and he's just the guy that you would trust behind you when you're racing. Yilmaz is making a few enemies, hitting Daly a few times, hitting Grimm a few times. Not something you want to do in your first full series sort of thing, but Pimlott is he's just chilling out. He's like, well, I'm just gonna let these guys fight, and I'll make my way through when they make a big old gap or crash. So that's the smart play to do. He's still got 15 minutes, so you know he doesn't need to just, as we call it, Ted Send. He doesn't need to go stupid into a corner. He doesn't need to force someone to give the position up. Just needs to play his cards right. Just chill out. Don't get one thing we haven't seen is drive through the track limits. As they go side by side again up to the hairpin. This time there isn't a car in front of Grimm. So Grimm,
more contact in the hairpin again!
What is Yilmaz doing? He's getting too close. The Lamborghini, I guess because of the grip in the corners, it can get through the hairpin really nicely. The setup's probably turns really good. Grimm's maybe not so much. It's a heavy car. The front end should help rotate the rear around, but
it's more contact, and this time it's mega as they exit big. Spoon corner, and that's going to be position given up. Burak Yilmaz has had enough and has taken the third place position. Neil Pimlott looking to take fourth away from Grimm Lilithier. Can't do it on the straight, falls back in line. But my goodness, what an ugly couple of laps that was. That resulted back in P3 for the driver that was chasing down Jordan Daly. Obviously, the quickest car on the racetrack, running out of patience right there.
Yeah, I don't want to say anyone takes anyone out intentionally, but
Well, he didn't
There's
take him
been a
out.
it did take him out, helped him back round again, which is always nice to do. You know, if you hit someone, you want to help them back straight in line, and did that with Grim. But there was a lot of touchy, something you don't want to do with other cars, and I'm pretty sure Grim being a steward, he will put that through as a post-race report, probably post-race report, which is not gonna go well for Yilmaz, fastest
There's going to
lap
be a
and
couple of drivers in this
place right now.
race that are going to. They're going to be a little upset after post-race penalties are posted, I think, because there's been a couple of yikes moments tonight, I think is a fair assessment to say.
Yeah, it sure is. It's one of them, two weeks away from night owl. Everyone's come back, a little bit feisty. It's very warm here in the UK and Europe as well, so maybe the heat's getting to a few people. But yeah, it's just one of those things. It's round one night owl. It's a hot track. People are warm themselves. It's not the most fun you can have for the first round, but it does get better. I promise.
Well, the only thing hotter than the action on the racetrack today is the selection of sim racing equipment and gear you can get from digitalmotorsport.com. Digitalmotorsport.com, your one-stop shop for everything sim racing. And while you're over there, check out their bespoke sim rig builder. That's right, build your own sim rig, the sim rig of your dreams or the sim rig of your budget at digitalmotorsport.com. Use our link in the description whenever you go and visit them. Let them know that we said hi over here at RCI.
Yeah. Oh, the number 13 turn round again. That's T1 this time. Was in the S's last lap around. Has pulled the garage door down. Unfortunately, they lost a lot of time. They were just fighting Hilverstack in the number 18 in silver class. It was 17th overall at a minute. See on the time screen there, but span again and said, you know what, I'm just gonna call it quits for round one, which is fair enough. You know, if you are not feeling up to it for a round, best thing to do is just to give it a rest for one day and come back another time and try again. Is what I say, Jesse. I've been there a few times, had some really shocking races recently, and took a step back for a bit, and yeah, it wasn't my proudest moments.
I will say this. I hate to see any driver, for any reason, feel like they have to retire from a race. But I will say I respect a driver that knows their limits, knows where they have to take the stand or know where they have to not take the stand in some of the cases and say, you know what, I've had enough. I've got to back off. I've got to cool off. I'll get back at it next week. And these drivers will. They'll be back next week and they'll be back on it. And probably they'll have a lot better result for it. But I do definitely respect the measure of a driver that knows this is where my limit is. No good is going to come from me from continuing this race, being further frustrated. I'm only a danger to the other cars and myself. It's not worth the aggravation. See you next week. And I do definitely respect that.
Yeah, you don't want to get a bad reputation for yourself, with stewards or other drivers, especially because other drivers
They'll
aren't going to
race you
trust
different.
you. Yeah, exactly. They'll be a lot cautious around you, or they'll be a bit more pushy with you to say get out of the way now, basically. And they do like to do a bit of ascend into corners and force their weight on the inside. So, you know, just take a step back and come back again. There's always racing here at RCI, so don't ever think there will never be any racing. We always got racing right around the corner. We have a Discord as well for a few announcements here and there for some of the ACC and some iRacing stuff, which I think at some point we should have again. But this is some close racing with Neil Pimlott and Grimlove.
I do
It
apologize for
goes to
my squeaking.
it just goes to show Neil Pimlott is a good racer. Like, we've not really seen, the odd time you will have an accident with someone, you will get reported, you will get a penalty from live stewarding, post stewarding. It's just these things happen. Not everyone is the cleanest of drivers at all times. Mistakes can happen. But Neil Pimlott just showing that he has full control of this M4 until we commentate curse it like we normally do, Jesse.
Yeah, like we did both of our drivers so far today. But I will say this about Neil Pimlott. He's not racing for small peanuts here. This is for, top 5. This is for top 4 position in a race and a championship that matters. And it's going to be a strong opening round. Doesn't matter if he passes Grimm or not. If he passes Grimm, obviously that's an extra boon to him. But even if he doesn't, he's going to get credit for a top 5 spot. He's going to outlast some of the competitors that he probably wouldn't have expected based on how qualifying went. He probably wouldn't have expected to finish in front. Maybe he probably did expect a top 5 in the end of it, but whatever it is, it's going to be a strong opening round for Neil Pimlott. He's going to be in the fray for this championship as far as it goes. And who knows, depending on how post-race stewarding goes for a couple of cases that have happened thus far today, Neil might be in 3rd place. He might get credited with a podium here today, which would further escalate his chances for championship glory this season. Neil's not a stranger to the series, not a stranger to the races. He knows how to navigate them, and he's being real smart here. He's getting real close to the back of Grimm. He's trying to force a mistake, but he's not getting too close that it's dangerous. All he's trying to do is live in those mirrors and be slightly offset to that Mercedes in front, just in case something were to go wrong with Lilith's car. Neil Pimlott's going to be there to capitalize.
Yeah, sure thing. And 3 drivers in this race. Unfortunately, one, Matthew Malcolm, had a few problems as we heard earlier on. A bit of a wiggle. Matthew Malcolm, he moved up to pro in the pre-qualifying days. He won the silver championship in season 13. That's a big thing to do. Now he's in the pro category. Unfortunately, as just said, he had to dip out due to some technical problems. Neil Pimlott came 5th place last season. He's in pro now, and look at him go, just showing he can drive, and he can drive with the big boys. Another one is George Kierkowski, down in 12th. Maybe just got a really good qualifying. Maybe not just gelling well with tonight. Qualifying you can do, pre-qualifying you can do whenever you like, any time of day that suits you. Maybe they are racing. Well, they do have, I believe that is the Scottish flag, the white and with the blue cross from corner to corner. So it's pretty late for them. It's 10 past 12 at night. 6 minutes left of the race to go. So maybe the tiredness hit them a little bit. Maybe they had a long day today. It can really affect your race.
Certainly can. These two racing each other for positions. This will matter at some point in the silver category. Racing for what is all considered 5th place in silver. Just heard Ted talk about drivers that were promoted into the pro class based on their performance in silver a season ago. Neil Pimlott, one of those, and absolutely doing bits in the top 5 today. Matthew Malcolm would have probably been doing decent as well in the pro category had, well, they not had their very odd issues today. Bryn Jones trying to get by, or trying to not get past, and doing the best job that they can, staying inside the top 15 overall in 5th in their class. A pass made for Bryn, able to get that spot in the end.
I'd just like to point again, Phil Roberts from 7th to 6th place, closing on Lilith and Pimlott. Looking at that lap time.
Oh, there's Kaiju. There he is.
There he is. Lilith and Pimlott, 2-minute 2s, 0.6s, both of those drivers. Phil Roberts, 2-minute 1.6, 1 second quicker. This fighting is slowing these two cars down, and he's there, Jesse. I can see the McLaren. This is gonna, if he carries on, 1.8 seconds back, maybe we'll catch up. Where's Jordan Daly? Coming up to the start-finish line now. There will be 3 more laps.
Ted, help me out.
Go on.
Neil Pimlott's team name is the Walkenhorst Motorsport team, which I think is familiar to most motorsports fans, right? The sign of that car says tacos, right?
Does it?
It says tacos, doesn't it? Am I crazy? I can swear to you the side of his car says tacos. Either way, there
It
are.
does.
It says tacos.
It
It is
does.
the
It
Walking
does.
Horse livery, but it doesn't say the Walking Horse slogan on the car. It says tacos. I think that's something most of us can get behind. I can get behind that. And all of a sudden,
Tacos.
there are two yellow and blue cars, one Walking Horse liveried car, one Kaiju liveried car, and they all have a shot here at fighting for P number 4. Look down the inside for Pimlott, gets up onto the inside curb. That's going to lose him a little bit of time, and that's going to further help Phil Roberts close back in. Remember, Phil Roberts started inside the top 5, started from pit lane, 23rd starting spot, and has done nothing but march towards the front in this race. I wonder if Phil wishes this was an hour-and-a-half race at this point, or maybe just at this point, lucky, happy to be back where they are. Certainly one of the cars I think we should look forward to further on in this championship, that Kaiju car.
Yeah, it sure is. Phil was on the start-finish line, 1.3 seconds back. 1 second now, gained 3/10 in one sector alone. Still 2 more sectors to go, Jesse. Phil, now I know Phil and Grim are in a voice channel together. They're in each other's ears, and that was.
I thought Grim was going to have a flashback. Is all.
Flashback.
Do we go for the same?
We are linked.
We my goodness.
Too many night hours together. Nah, not enough night hours together, should I say? But I already know Phil is saying in Grim's ear, "I'm coming for you, Grim," because that's how Phil plays mind games with you, especially when you're really under pressure with someone behind you, right on your tail. Phil don't care. Phil is savage.
I know what Grim would say, but I can't say it on air, so we'll just skip that bit, I think. Grim holding on to P4, doing a good job. Neil Pimlott, I would say, with all the patience of a saint and the intelligence of a scholar, doing everything they can to maybe force a mistake, to maybe be able to get position on Grim. Hasn't come off, but just a brilliant drive from Neil Pimlott, it has to be said, trying to get 4th place away from them. The only problem is that is allowing Phil Roberts to close in, and if you remember what the gap was a few laps ago, you'll know that that is more than halved. It's around a second between them from Grim to Roberts now. As we enter the final couple of laps, where's the leader? I can't see him for some reason.
Hairpin. Daly is in the hairpin.
Daly is in the hairpin.
He'll cross with about 10 seconds, maybe.
Oh man, so we might get some free racing here tonight.
He's got a 21 seconds gap. Now, Daly is also in those Phil and Grim's ear. Are they going to shout at him?
I was going to say, do you think they're making their case?
Grim will say, Daly, slow down. I want this 4th place, and maybe 3rd place. Grim say, and Phil saying, no, speed up, go on another lap.
Well, the politics in motorsport, it permeates into the esports category. Contact there for the 3rd time today. Grim Lilith has been rear-ended into the hairpin. And for
got a rear end left.
For the 3rd time today, the car that rear-ended Grim backed off quite a bit. Phil Roberts now a little bit adrift as well, as Grim gets a momentary respite from the onslaught that has been Neil Pimlott and, Yilmaz earlier on in this race. My goodness.
20 seconds when Daly crossed the line. So I was not that close. About double would have been correct, but there he is on his final lap. 21-second gap, I believe, to Timothy Flamger. Timothy Flamger, a Porsche, the only Porsche left in this race. I think there was 2 more or 1 more. Just sailing home in second. Got a 4.8 second gap to Yilmaz. As we know, Yilmaz has been touching people's rear ends when he shouldn't have been. So we'll have to keep an eye next week on what happens there, and we'll keep you updated. But until then, he is 3rd place with a Speed Juice fastest lap, a 2:01, and no one's really got close apart from Daly with a 2:02. Grim Lilith, no, Grim Lilith was a 2:01. I read that totally wrong. I missed the 1 out, but yeah, Grim Lilith still got room. 20 minutes was with Yilmaz. Yilmaz has now flown away with a 14-second gap from Lilith, so wasn't going to hold that back, but holding Pimlott back pretty well. All in all, with that contact in the hairpin on the last lap. But we're almost done, Jesse.
Yeah, and while we have just a moment here, I just want to say, I haven't talked about Timothy Flamger really at all, but the Alpha Sim Sport number 19 Porsche, like you said, the only Porsche here. It's been a quiet day. It's been a great day for Timothy Flamger. Is it going to be the grandiose win? No, absolutely not. But you know what it's going to be? It's going to be a brilliant second place where they kept it clean, they kept away from everybody else, and they've done Alpha Sim Sport proud in that unmistakable livery for Alpha SimSport here today. So what a run it's been. And for this man, Jordan Daly, it's been a brilliant race as well. Was under attack, never faltered, and is going to come out with a huge win here today.
Yeah, what a drive by Daly, just keeping it clean, keeping out of the trouble, holding everyone back, and did an amazing job. First win of season 14 of Night Owl. Timothy Flamger takes home the second place. Yilmaz takes home the third with the Speedy's fastest lap. We'll just have to wait until next week to figure out what's going to happen. Grim Lilith coming over the line with fourth. Pimlott in fifth. Phil Roberts from the back of the grid, 23rd to 6th place. What a drive by Phil there. And Steiner in 7th for the pro class. Where is Fusina? Because we haven't spoken about them much. They have a massive gap to Lopez. Takes home first in silver for the first round of season 14. Curtin takes home 8th overall. 7th in pro. Lopez takes home the second. Kevin Boss takes home third in silver. What a race, Jesse. That's non-stop fighting. A few hits, few bumps and bruises, but pretty good race. For a really hot track we had today.
All credit to Adnan Pusina, and welcome back to Night Owl Pusina, by the way. And way to come back with a win. Of course, was in and out in the previous season, as I recall, but said that they'd be back here in season 14. Was one of the first drivers we were sure of that would be in season 14. Confirmed it in our chat and has done so with a huge check mark tonight. It's a W for the 903. So just a brilliant job. Lopez will be wondering how they didn't convert this into a win, but realistically, still a good race today for them. They'll get second place. And of course, just a great job by Kevin Boss. Had to fight for it, but ended up with that third place. Several cars DNFing here today. Texeria, Freitas, Malcolm, and Augusto out of the race today, all having various issues. Some issues with the wall, some issues with pit limiter button in Malcolm's case. Quite strange one there. But the results of the race, again, pending post-race penalties, or should I say post-race stewarding in this case.
Yeah, that is. It's going to be. Well, I hope all drivers that have had contacts against them do report that. We say time and time again, we want you guys, if we don't have live stewarding, to report them. It helps us out. It helps you out. You might get the place back or a few places. And it also, puts the bad drivers on the naughty step, and might teach them a lesson or two when driving in our championships when there's no live stewarding. So just have to wait until next week. But yeah, that was a really good race by all the drivers today. Finished with 19, started with 23. Not too bad.
Yep, 23 cars, 18 of them actually make it. Actually, no, I was right the first time. 19 of them make it to the checkered flag tonight. And a lot of racing, a lot of bumping going on. Some of that very thrilling indeed. They kept it close throughout the entire race. But you just can't really ask for a whole lot more. It had thrills, spills, and chills and drama throughout. That's exactly what you're looking for in a race like today's. Final thoughts, Ted Edwards.
Well, gotta say for a round one of Night Owl, that was pretty good. For you bumps bruises, but all in all, a really good race from all the drivers.
Certainly was. We'll have to see what post race stewarding says for the final positions 1 week from tonight. Set your clocks. We're back with you for Night Owl round number 2. Ted Edwards, where are we?
Oh, we are out. I believe. Oh, Alton Park. I say believe. That's my champ. I should know. Alton Park. We out next. So, I hear it's going to be a little bit cooler. To be nice to the drivers out there if they are listening. You will find out tomorrow. Practice level will go up, so keep an eye out for that. But another thing, don't forget RCI 24 Hours of Spa is on our website, racerci.com. You can find out there. You can sign up. Pre-queue is open. The server will be up at some point, I think tonight or tomorrow. You have a while anyway. Race is on 29th of July, so you've got plenty of time to get a team set up, get your pre-queue laps in. All the info is on our website, and also don't forget to join our Discord. We have in the announcements channel at the top of the Discord. You can find it on our website. We have a vote up for World Tour for the 24-hour race. In that it's Suzuka, Silverstone, or Nürburgring. The one that's winning is Suzuka. Funny enough, Suzuka today, Suzuka money, Suzuka in World Tour. Maybe. So go over there and vote on what track you want to drive 24 hours in the World Tour Championship. It's a fun thing we do here at RCI.
It certainly is. And of course, we host a lot of different racing events here at RCI. You may wonder how we do it and do it so fluidly. It's actually quite simple. We use AK Esports. For more information on how they can help you with your esports series and management, go to akesports.it. That's akesports.it for more information about how they can help you, like they help us with our fantastic events. It was a great race, a great season opener at Suzuka under hot temperatures. The only thing hotter was the racing action, fights for the podium positions in all the classes, and of course, a little bumper fender rubbing never hurt anybody. The final positions, of course, settled on the racetrack, but mixed up in the pit lane. What will Alton Park have in store for us in 1 week's time? Well, you're going to have to set your clocks and find out, because we can't wait to find out as well. Ted, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure to be with you. And thank you very much for being patient, putting up with me tonight.
Hey, I can put up with you anytime, Jess Lee. You know what it is. We do Night Owl together. It is a team thing. But yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe for more of this content. We've got loads to come. You don't want to miss out. Hit the bell, get those notifications. I got the notifications on, and I'm here. I got a notification from Night Owl. Ah, funny that. Yeah. But
Definitely,
anyway,
definitely. Thank you all for joining us at home. And, well, nothing left to do but see you next week. Take us out, Ted.
yeah. Thank you for all for watching season 14 of Night Owl Round 1. We will see you all next week.